Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to another conversation on adulting joyfully. And today we are going to be talking with Poonam Tandon, and she is a very, very dear friend. She is a teacher, a spiritual coach. She's been a speaker for multiple in Fortune 50 companies, in universities. And she's been a meditation teacher trainer. So I'm just waiting for her to join. And it's going to be a really fun conversation because given that it's Valentine's Day, we're going to have this conversation on love. And in your list of people that you're doing something fun with and looking to surprise, are you on that list?
You sure?
Yeah, it's good. So today's conversation, given that it's V-Day, is about our relationship that we have with ourselves, right? Often we spend so much time on relationships that we have with others, trying to fix it and trying to navigate it. We don't really pay much attention to the relationship we have with ourselves. So Poonam, can you start with maybe the relationship that you had with yourself and what challenges you faced and what are some of the revelations you've had over the last few years? I know it's a big question.
The relationship I've had with myself. That's interesting. Well, it's interesting what you said about how we don't really pay attention to the relationship we have with ourselves and we're navigating others. And I think one of my biggest realizations is all the navigation that we do with others really just needs to turn inward because it's all happening inside of here. But when I started, when I was young as a child, it was really interesting. I had a very inquisitive mind. I was just wanted to understand the mysteries of life, and I was very curious. But as I got older into adolescence, I remember kind of having a very self-critical relationship with myself. I don't know why or where it started, if it just came with birth or, if I picked it up along the way. But I had a hard time believing that I was good enough for certain things, or I would want to do things, but I didn't know if I would succeed. And I just had a lot of self-doubt and self-criticism and negative self-talk. It wasn't obvious on the outside. It's very subtle. It was very hidden. I don't even think it was so hidden that I don't even think I realized I was doing it for a long time. And it's truly, honestly, been a lifelong journey. It's probably part of what led me on my own journey to kind of want to seek more meditation, more spirituality in my life to answer some of life's existential questions, like why am I really here and what's my purpose in life. But I guess one little example that reflects on the outside of my self-judgment is just I used to play piano as a child growing up, but I was really afraid to do recitals, and I would never play in front of anybody else except my own family. And yet I loved it so much, and I was studying art in college. I would make these enormous life-size sculptures. I would make, it was kind of amazing. I didn't really know what was coming out of me until it was finished. I looked back and oh, whoa, that looks like something, and other people would tell me, wow, Poonam, your work is done, but I never realized it was. I would just keep going at it. And then I actually broke them all down. I didn't actually share them with anybody. Early in my 20s, I started to, I went on my own spiritual journey. I learned sky breath meditation, and I started to teach it. And I remember very quickly somehow I wound up I didn't realize what I was doing, but I guess I was taking leadership, and I ended up having leadership roles. I started driving community. I started driving programs and projects and all these things. But all along the way inside, honestly, I don't know how to say, the first times I would teach, all I would do is come home and look at all the things that I did wrong instead of looking what went right, And for years, that was one of my biggest challenges. I would just feel so self-critical. I couldn't see what went well. I would be happy and I would work, inside I would be oh no, did I wrong someone? Did I do something wrong? I would just question myself so much. And what I found how that impacted me is at times when there were opportunities to maybe take greater initiative or kind of drive a decision, I would back down. I would back down. I would back away and kind of give more permission or more authority to other people around me. And so, though I was taking on a lot of leadership, I was also often kind of cutting out my own power. And then what that would do as a result is it would just kind of self-sabotage. I would feel like something better can happen. And I realized like nobody can do what you see except for you. You know what I mean? You can't, nobody can do it for you. And so I think that kind of realization of being able to uh, trust my own power has definitely been like a journey. And when I came to the point where I really stood next to that realization when I went through a major illness in my own life. And I had no choice but to step away from all my responsibility. I was put on a major kind of self-care regimen to manage what was going on. I had breast cancer's early stage. I mean, I'm all good. Everything is fine. But at that time, it was, you know, I don't know that the C word is a very scary word when you first hear it. And so I was told that, you know, whatever you do, you have to follow this, because if you don't, you know, it will grow and it will take over your life and all this stuff. So I had to bow out of so much responsibility. Every project I was working on, every role I played, I took sabbatical from. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because I think, I don't know if everyone, I'm sure many people can relate to this, but so much of my identity and our identity, I believe, is in the work that we produce and the contribution that we make. And suddenly when I felt like I wasn't a contributor, you know, I started to wonder if I'd become irrelevant. Um, and I kind of didn't know, like, I don't know, it was just it was very hard. It was very hard to watch the world go on around me and feel like I was a bystander. And,
Wow.
and to feel like maybe I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't be able to step back in, like everybody will forget who I am, and, you know. But it was in that process where, after a while of kind of starting from that place and struggling with it, where I started to settle in and actually begin to love it. And then I realized how my connection transcended. The sense of belonging, connection had nothing to do with what I produced, but had to do with a state my come from in life. And that I did not have to do and be and become and make in order to feel connected. How have I learned to take care of myself? You know, this is going to sound, but at times taking care of others is taking care of ourselves. And that's kind of like, you know, there are times, but it just all depends. There's like the side of us that can get in stuck in our head and think that I need to be more perfect. I need to have more energy. I need to be in a good place before I'm able to be a contributor. And I think that side of our head, or my head, benefits from just going out and being there for others. And when I'm there with others, I actually feel myself. I feel myself, connected to myself. But then there are other times when you feel obliged and you feel I should be there for others. I need to be there for others. If I'm not there for others, the world's going to collapse, but really I just want to like hang out and go for a bike ride and walk on the beach. And I think in those moments you have to remember, like, you're not the world's savior. Like, calm down, relax. It's all good. Like, you're riding your bike and hanging out and having a good time is only contributing more to others. It actually is an example. And also I bring my own depth and my own life personal experience by connecting to myself. I bring that to the table with everyone that I'm in front of, even when I am of service. So if I'm not, I realize my biggest issue is, if I'm not in tune with myself, I'm of no good to anybody else, you know. And if I'm feeling lost and unhappy and dissatisfied in here, it's a wreck. It's a wreck. It's all about this, you know. And I always have this feeling, when I reflect, that like that little part of me that was there when I was a child, you know, I hear her voice every so often when I'm about to fall asleep at night, or when I wake up in the morning, or when I'm walking on the beach or going for a walk on a hiking trail in a forest. I meet her again. But when I'm really busy, I can't find her. I don't know where she is. And so I would say that over the years of kind of my personal practice and my journey of that connection, I learned to hear that voice, that person inside of me, more and more and more. And it's a beautiful relationship. I want to know her. And because she's the one that's going to be with me in the last minute when I she, he, or whatever gender it is going to be with me and in the last minute of my life. And if I'm not in tune with that, I'm in tune with nothing.